Page 107, got those blues. On page 106, they talk about the primary chords. I spoke about them in the previous video just a little bit. Let's go into them in a little more detail now. Primary chord, every key has its own set of primary chords. There's 3 of them. And you really need to know them and be able to play them in either hand, all right? They're only showing the left hand, but I suggest you do the right hand also. At the bottom they show you what we want is the 1-4 and the 5-7 chords, okay? And you know each chord can be built on a step of the scale. So the 1 chord is built on the first step of the scale. It's a triad. It's here, here, and here. We're in C major, okay? It's a 1 chord. Doesn't have to be in this arrangement. You can play the C, E, G and wherever, doesn't matter what the arrangement is, but if you play those 3 keys, those 3 notes, it's a 1 chord in the key of C major. Happens to be a C chord. Makes sense, the bottom note is a C. The bottom note defines the chord when it's every other note, okay? I mean, if I turn it over and I put the C on top, it's still a C chord, even though the bottom note's an E, because this is not every other note now. This is changed. There's 2 notes here. So I have to rearrange it, keep rearranging it until I get it where there's only 1 note in between each key. So I put the E on top. I still got 2 notes here, so now I'm going to put the G on top. Now I can define it by the bottom note, because there's only 1 note in between each key. It's a C chord. It's a 1 chord in the key of C. The 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, is an F chord, the 4 chord. However, they don't have to be in this arrangement, right? So what we do, because we're here, we want to get to an F chord without moving around any more than we have to. So all we're going to do is take that F chord and we're going to put the C on the bottom, because we already had the C on the bottom. So we go here. It's an F chord. So generally when we play it in the key of C, we're going from the 1 chord to the 4 chord in that arrangement. And that's what they've done there, and that's why it's arranged this way. Both hands. Very important. Alright, now those 2 chords out of the way, let's do this 5-7 chord. It's the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Build a chord on it. Now we have to add the 7th, which is another note. Skip a note and go here. As long as I have 1 note in between each of these, it's in its what we call root position, and it's defined by the bottom note. The G. This is a G7 chord because it has the 7th. That's a G chord. I just add the 7th. Makes it a G7. In the key of C major, it's a 5-7 chord because this is the 5th step of the key of C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now again, we don't want to go from here to here. We want to get to a 5-7 chord without moving around. So what we do is we take this, we're going to leave out the D, because you don't have to play every note. Generally either the D is left out or the B is left out. I could do here. Still a 5-7 chord, alright? We're going to leave out the D, and then we're going to put the B on the bottom. So I'm going to take the G and put it on top. And you get that. So when I go from here, now I can go to a 5-7 chord by here. I'm not moving very much, I'm getting there. So the primary chords are here, 1, 4, 1 next, I guess they say, and then 5-7 and a 1. Both hands. Learn them. And those are the primary chords in C major. The primary chords in every key work exactly the same way. You're just in that key instead of C major. C major is the easier one to see because you're only using the white keys on the piano. And that's what we're doing with primary chords. Now, in this Got Those Blues, look at the left hand. You've got them. They're giving you Roman numerals underneath the bottom staff. This is an indication of chord. You can have a chord name, a C, G, F, whatever. But you can also use Roman numerals, which tells you the step of the scale that chord belongs to. So that 1 is referring to a 1 chord, which is a chord built on the first step of the scale. It's not hard. I'm feeding you a lot of information, but think about it and, watch this video a few times and you'll get it. Oh, okay, it really isn't. It's a 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord. Big deal, right? Well, here we use Roman numerals to indicate that. Look at the second line, second measure. That is a 4, Roman numeral 4, indicating a 4 chord. And they're just telling you that. There was a time a long time ago where you didn't get the notes. All you got was the indication of what the chord was. And that was it. And you had to know what the chord was and which notes to play. Third line down, last measure, that is a 5-7 chord, and that's what they're indicating. Okay, it happens to be a G7 chord. They're not telling you that yet. They will eventually. I'm telling you that now, though. And that's really all we're doing in here. Otherwise, you've just got this stuff going on in the right hand. Get the B flat, right? You have an E flat in the second measure of the second line. You got to move your hand up toward the fallboard. So forth. So we got B flats and E flats to deal with. Now, we like to play in the style of the music, and different music has different styles. Okay? It'd be boring if it didn't. At the bottom of the page, they're telling you you can play the eighth notes unevenly. What we say is it is in the style of blues, swing, or jazz. You play the eighth notes unevenly, long, short, automatically. They don't write them long, short, because there really isn't an accurate rhythm notation for it, because it's a felt thing. You have to feel it. It's here. You feel that, wow, ba, bam. And your shorts aren't always going to be the same length. They can vary depending on how you feel. So it's just understood for eighth notes, only eighth notes, you swing them, is what we call. You swing them, or we say you rock them. You play them long, short, uneven, long, short. Some of the other styles will, from time to time, rock them. They usually tell you. And in swing, blues, or jazz, if they want even eighth notes, they have to put in a note, play evenly, or something to the effect to tell you to play them evenly. Otherwise, you rock them. You can do the dynamics. You know, you've got starting out loud, and the second line you're coming down to a soft, and that's kind of important in that. Look at the second line there. At the beginning, you're loud at the beginning of it. And then you're soft. Then in the third line, you're going back to loud. In the second measure, look at that. So forth. So the dynamics add a whole lot to it, and you got to feel that. You feel getting softer, and then you're kind of a echoey type thing for a while, and then you're getting loud again. It's all in the emotion, and that's what makes it exciting. Generally, you're going to learn the notes and the rhythms and the fingering and everything first, and then you turn it into music. You get really involved with it. It's really nice. It's fun to do too. Now, there is a difference of opinion on interpretation on a lot of stuff. Look at the staccato. So we'll just use the first measure as an example because this happens all over the place. You have staccato on the first two beats, both hands. On the third beat, they're only showing staccato for the left hand, right? So you're gonna... The tendency is to both hands want to do the same thing. So if you do a staccato in one hand, you kind of want to do a staccato in the other. It's going to be this. Some people will play it this way. I'm not going to say you can or can't. I'm saying that's not what's written. I'm saying when you first learn a piece, try and be as accurate as you can and play it the way it's written. And then later on, if you want to adjust it a little bit, that's between you and the music, the composer or whoever. So in this and the third beat, only the left hand is staccato. Okay, so each hand sort of has a mind of its own. So let's keep that in mind. Now, I remember covering this piece once or twice already for other Alfred books. I did not go look at those videos. I do not remember what I said at the time of the video. When I do these videos, they are unscripted. I say what I'm thinking, I say what I'm seeing at the time, so who knows what's going to happen. To me, that's more exciting than to have it all nicely rehearsed with a script and the whole thing. Ugh. So I don't remember how I told you to interpret this before. So I could have contradicted myself. And that's okay. It's one of the beauties of music is that it's not set as far as interpretation goes. You get 5 different people to play it. They can play it 5 different ways, and every one of them could be correct. So whatever I said before, that's fine at the time, but this is what I'm saying now, so this is fine for now. You decide how you're going to do it eventually anyway. There is a ritardando at the end, which I will ignore because I'm playing with a metronome, but otherwise you would slow it down a little bit at the end. The last couple of measures. Okay. There's no pedal. We need the staccato, so you don't want pedal. And there's a fermata at the end, so I'm going to hold that for 4 counts instead of 2. All right, hands in, whatever position they are. Left hand's here, right hand's here. I'll give us 4 counts because it's a 4/4 time. 1, 2, ready, go. Off.